What's going on, y'all? So listen. What's going on, y'all? Quick little video, and it was so random. I did want to do I wanted to do a movie corner because I finally saw I Know What You Did Last Summer. I'm gonna have to watch it again because I was a little bit distracted when I was watching it the other day. And initially, I didn't have good thoughts. So maybe I'll go back and do another rewatch and then get to it. But that ain't what we on tonight, right quick. Unknown Number. Unknown Numbers, the Catfish story of the high school girl. I just got through watching it. First of all, I hope y'all Labor Day was cool. You know what I'm saying? I hope you had a nice, enjoyable day off. I did. Relaxation and all that stuff. See, I took my hair down and everything, giving myself some time to breathe, let the roots breathe and everything. One of my locks came out. Girl, I said, oh my God, I feel like at this point it's probably time for me to trim it a little bit. But yeah, so I was going through, I said, what? But it's all right. It's all right. It was coming out anyway. But no, moving on from that, let's just get up into this show. This is probably one of the most diabolical things that I've seen in a minute. All right. And I just don't understand, how can you do this to a child, and not only just a child, but to your own child that came out of your womb? And I can see, and I hate to say this like this, I can see if the child was a problem child. You was having so many issues, they were being disrespectful, all of that. But that was not the case. That was not the case in the least, okay? So basically, if you haven't watched this on Netflix, I believe it's called Unknown Numbers, the high school catfish. So, this girl, Lauren, and her boyfriend at the time, they all go to this same school. And first of all, going to a school that's preschool to high school, girl, please. No, I can't do that. But they was in Michigan, and that's just really what it was. And so all of them was friends. You got her friend group, his friend group, and everything was going on. They get together. They're like 13 years old, 14 years old, doing a little date thing or whatever. First of all, I feel like y'all a little bit too young to be together anyway, but that's neither here nor there. But, the kids was cool with it. The parents was cool with it. And then all of a sudden, the little girl, Lauren, started getting these text messages from these unknown numbers, basically telling her to, stop messing with Owen, which was the boyfriend name at the time. Stop messing with him. He really want them. And they kept on saying us. It kept on making it seem like it was a multiple of people that was doing these unknown numbers and all this stuff. And I was like, oh my God, girl, what's going on? And I'm so glad that I heard bits and pieces about this before I actually looked at any kind of like reviews or any tweets or any videos to give away what was going on. Because once I found out who was doing this, I said, oh, this is trifling as shit. I was flabbergasted. You know what I'm saying? Flabbergasted. I said, are you serious? Why would you do this? So the girl is going through hell. This little girl is going through hell for at least almost 2 years. For almost 2 years. She was going through it. The little boy was going through it. He's a teenager. They're teenagers. They're growing into their teen years. And come to find out, they're talking to everybody. They're trying to get the school involved, trying to get the cops involved, and just trying to be like, trying to get down to the bottom of this. And once they realized, after they had blamed this person, that person, once they realized that it's no one that they're looking at, and then they was able to finally get the FBI involved and to go through all of the numbers or whatever, and they found one of the numbers, and then it came back to somebody in their group. Baby, one of the adults that was doing this. And you want to know who was doing this? Spoiler alert, if you haven't watched, we're finna talk about it. You can click off now. But baby, her mama was doing it. What? Kendra, that's her name. I said, Kendra, you need your ass whooped. I'm so freaking sorry, y'all. I hate to even say that about a parent, but and clearly she's not mentally stable. Kendra, the girl's mother, had the nerve, and it was me looking at this. Mind you, it's like an hour and 30 minutes, okay? It's an hour and 30 minutes, something to that fact. And then in like the first, before you even get to the reveal, it's the documentation style. You know, when you talking about it, you got the little interviews, you got the little confessionals and all this stuff. You getting everybody retelling their parts of it and how they was feeling during that time. You have Owen, his mama, you got Owen's friend Chloe, and their other friend group, with the other girls in the friend group, the Sophie girl and a cousin, and Chloe's parents. I couldn't stand them. Lauren and her mom and her father, and the police officer, the FBI agent, all of these people, right? All of these people are sitting down in the confessional giving their original reaction and all this stuff and how things was going and everything. And the whole time Kendra is also talking about it. Only for Kendra to come out and they say that bitch did it. I said, you got your nerves to be sitting up here and you talking about what happened. See, it be killing me when I be seeing them do that. And I was like, this whole time, how are you sitting here just being so calm? And then you wait till the moment where you drop the bomb on everybody and be like, yeah, it was me that did it. And you start want to break down. Now you want to break down? No. Listen, I could never, ever do something like this. I would never be able to do nothing like this because especially dealing with children, especially dealing with my reputation and people looking at me like, oh my goodness, this is crazy. And truth be told, I honestly feel like Kendra needs to be on a predator's list, okay? Like, she can't be around kids because I do believe what Owen mama said, that she had some type of infatuation with that boy. Because not only was she doing it to her, but she to her own daughter, she was doing it to Owen, okay? And it was the nasty shit that she was saying in those text messages. I said, oh my goodness, why are you so vulgar? Why are you so vulgar? And I understand you trying to probably make it sound like it's somebody that's around their age or whatever, but it was just so nasty, so filthy and everything. And it's like, if it was somebody around them kids wouldn't be talking like that. They just don't give off. Kids be doing a lot of stuff behind the parents' back. But them kids just really wasn't giving off that, oh, we was talking like this. We talking like this. Nasty and all this stuff. Bitch, I was flabbergasted. And I said, Kendra, you have to be put on a predator's list. They gave her a year and like 19 months or something like that. A year and a half or something like that in prison, in jail or whatever. But honestly, I feel like she deserved more. She need therapy too. Because for me, I couldn't accept the apology. Oh, my tattoo is peeling. Well, it's scabbing up. It's itching. My God. I said, you know what? Why would you do that? And the whole time, I'm sitting here thinking like, the embarrassment that you are causing your child. You claim to love your daughter so much. You claim to be so close to her and everything, but you are texting her text messages throughout all of the night and all these days for over a year. You're seeing that she's going through hell. You seeing how, tormented she's being. You're seeing her literally deteriorate in front of your eyes because of these text messages. And then you have the nerve to still be in her face. And then it was almost like I want to be the villain and the angel at the same time. Villain and the hero. That's what it was given. She wanted to, and like they said in the documentary, it was like Munchausen by internet. You know what I'm saying? So instead of trying to make her child sick for real, like, poison her or over medicate her for no reason and she ain't had no real illness or whatever, just so that she can keep her incapacitated and everything, and so that she would have to be the one to take care of her and she would always have to stay with her. She did it through the internet and through the phone by texting her all of these messages to play on her self-esteem. Come to find out, I truly do feel like she was, in a sense, talking to herself, because in some of those messages, she was calling the little girl ugly. The little girl is not ugly, saying that she never had friends, calling her anorexic. Sorry if you have a, ED, that was a trigger warning, but that's really what she was telling her. Calling her too skinny, calling her anorexic, telling her to off herself. Now, right then and there, that's when it got to that point. Even if you went too far, even if you got to that point where you realize, oh, maybe I should stop. But when it got to the point where you start thinking that, let me text to my daughter to off herself, and you still kept going, oh no, like I would never be able to speak to her again. And then it was the people that was getting involved and getting accused, because I never seen them do anything like this. And maybe it's because of the different districts. And, I just truly feel like the police and things of that such would not mobilize the way that they did if it was like a urban school or in predominantly minority neighborhood and a public school system or something like that was in a certain type of area, because they probably would have just let it go. They probably would have been like, you just got to deal with it. But baby, they was interviewing everybody, and they kept it up. They kept interviewing all the kids. They kept, trying to find out what's going on. Like, the school really didn't take light to this. And I applaud them for that, because that's really messed up. And I felt bad for the parents, except for Chloe's parents. Let me talk about Chloe and her parents. Now, see, when we started talking about Chloe, and I feel like these kids are still kids, so I don't want to do too much, because, you don't want to talk about kids, but you can talk about their characteristics and their behavior. I really do feel like Chloe is the way that she is because of her parents that are enabling and saying that you can do anything and everything that you want to do. Don't care what nobody say. They can't do it because they losers, and, that's just really what it is, and you're the best and all that stuff. So Chloe daddy is a cop. The mama, I'm telling you, girl, I just know they voted for that man. I just know they voted for that man that we ain't seen in a few days. I just know they voted for him. Just the way that they was talking, and on the one hand, I get it. Be upset because y'all got put through some things. Just like everybody else did too, though. Everybody else got put through the ringer too, but they felt like they got put through it a little bit more because people was accusing or putting their daughter on the little suspect list because your daughter was a bully. That's just all that it comes down to. It's given that it's given that your child was a bully, okay? Because when they first came on and mentioned Chloe, who was friends with Owen, and they said Owen, she probably had a little crush, I think, for Owen. Didn't really see it for Lauren like that, and probably because of the fact that she got a man. Okay, cool. But at the same time, even Owen said, yeah, she's not really a nice person. And then giving little instances about when other girls or people were basically saying that she was bullying them. And then they trying to make it seem, of course the parents going to make it seem like, oh no, that's not what it was. And, they just probably felt this way. And they just, girl, no, your child probably was a bully 9 out of 10. That's just what it was. I can sense it on her. It was just giving that. And the way that the parents was reacting and the way that they were so harsh and they was just so angry. And I mean, I get it, but at the same time, compared to the ones that was actually going through the mess for real, like Owen, Jill she wasn't so angry like that. Mind you, she had Kendra all up in her house. But see, y'all was just really, 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 really angry, and it gave really, really like, okay? I just really did not like, I didn't like them. But, it is what it is with them. Who cares? The kids that had nothing to do with it, it was the grown-up. It was Kendra. Kendra, my thing is this. She said it was a possibility that, she was going through it. And I get that you can go through things. And again, it's just like when you go through the grieving process of anything. Grief will hit you anywhere that you, at any time. Same thing with a mental health episode, illness or, like depression, anxiety, all of that stuff, a manic episode. It'll hit you and it come at any time. You don't know when or where. So I'll give her a slight pass and a slight little leeway on that because mental health obviously is playing a role in this. But her as an adult who realized what was going on mentally, that she was not all the way capable to, do the things that she needed to do, she knew that something was going on. So therefore, instead of going to get herself help, you start to stalk your daughter and her boyfriend at the time? And then when they talked about Jill saying that her son, that Kendra probably got a little thing for her son or whatever, an unhealthy like attraction to him, I do believe that too. Again, because once they broke up, he got with another girl and she found that girl's number and was doing the same thing to him, to the little girl. I said, oh my God, this is crazy. Girl, you need some help and you need to be on a list, okay? Because, no, I hope she's going through therapy because you're talking about how, he want BJs and, sucking him off and, sticking his fingers in your, and all this other stuff. And I mean, using the actual words. These kids are like 13, 14 years old. Granted, I understand these kids be looking at stuff and doing stuff or whatever, but they just they did not know that's not what they was on. Okay, that's really was not what they were on. But see, Kendra cousin had to say, yeah, she probably was going through some stuff. But Kendra also said, she was dealing with the fact that around the time that her daughter was coming of age, this was around the time where in her own life where she experienced a sexual assault. She was our word, right? And so her thing is, let me try to protect my daughter. And I get that, but how are you protecting your daughter and trying to save her from not going through the same thing, from going through the same thing that you went through by basically putting down her self-esteem? I know that you want her to come to you or whatever, but to make it seem like you really wanted her to off herself, like I can never tell. I don't care. Even like I don't have kids. But I've gotten so mad at my sisters and all that stuff or whatever, my cousins. I never tell them to go off themselves. You know what I'm saying? And that's literally what she told her daughter in a text message multiple times, to go off herself. And I was just like, wow. And you didn't think that you needed to stop right then and there, and you had crossed the line and a boundary far over, and that you needed to go get yourself some help. Even if you didn't get figured out, you needed to go get yourself some help. Go to a therapist or whatever, psychotherapy, get you on some medication. I don't know, but you needed to do something to be a little bit proactive to stop this. Because what? And I guaranteed you, had they not found out who it was, she would have kept going. She would have kept going. When they showed the actual body cam footage of them going to Kendra's home and the way that she had no real emotion on her face, like she was sorry. And then when they had Lauren come in there and they trying to tell her what's going on, and while they're telling her, she goes over there to hug on Lauren and all that stuff. And then the only person that really had the real reaction that I wanted to see or thought would have was the father, her husband. And he was pissed the fuck off. Now, he was trying not to blow up at her, and I'm so glad that the cops was there, because ain't no telling the way that you could see the anger coming off of him. He was angry, he was embarrassed, and he was hurt. He was hurt because not only did he find out that his wife was the one that was tormenting his daughter, their daughter, found out that the wife was lying the whole time about her having a job. Now, the wife do work in IT and all this stuff, so now it makes sense, okay? She works at IT. She said she had a job at this IT department in this university, and she had like 3 jobs or something like that. She didn't have any jobs. She had got let go, but was lying to them. Mind you, you got to remember also, she was in charge of she put herself in control of all of the finances. Couldn't find out she wasn't paying the bills. He said one day we come back to the house and see a notice on the door. Basically, they had been evicted. The storage container facility that they was storing some things at, she wasn't paying for it. So now they got that stuff taken away. And he was so hurt because he was like, stuff that he worked and built up all his life got taken away because she wouldn't pay the stuff. Okay. And then earlier they did say that they had to move 4 times within that whole situation. They moved 4 times because that lady was not paying the stuff. So you are lying and having him thinking, okay, well, you want to control the finances, let's do that. See, this is why I don't believe in that. I don't believe in that. And I get it, because usually we see in these relationships, I guess, through societal roles or whatever, that the man is taking care of everything, but she was taking care of the finances, right? And just probably most likely just making sure everything was paid up. You know what I'm saying? On time. He probably was giving her the money and making sure things was paid up, but she wasn't paying it. You know what I'm saying? Lying about where she was and all that stuff, whatever. Baby, I cannot do that in a relationship. We're going to have to do if I do give you the money, we're going to sit there and I'm going to go back behind you and make sure it's all done. Because that's just the type of person I am. That's just really the type of person I am. I really have a fear of being broke to the point that I can't take care of myself. Or I got to go back to my mom, or I got to go slum it with my sister, or whatever. I have a fear of that. You know what I'm saying? I don't. So therefore, if I'm in a relationship with somebody, baby, we ain't doing no, let's get a joint bank account. No, I don't want your shit. And I know some people probably don't agree with it, but this is just how I feel. Whatever you bring in is what you bring in. And if you want to give me a little something, I want to give you a little something, we can do that. We could do that. I have no problem with it, but getting a joint account, fuck no. No. And I'm putting all my, absolutely not. Now we can start an account together and we can, no, I don't believe in that either, because then you can get shady and try to take the shit too. But no, yeah, Miss Kendra, you, ooh. Oh my God. Like, you don't understand the psychological effects that this is probably going to have on your daughter in the long term. And then now that this documentary is out and everybody is talking about it on social media, everybody probably talking about it at their jobs and all this stuff, and it's just everywhere. And so that you can't live that down. You can't live that down. Like, I just don't understand why people be agreeing to do this. Like, do you be okay or be fearing that you're not going to be able to get through society, like go through the world without people realizing, oh, you was that person who did that to your daughter? What was your problem? Like, I wouldn't even want to hire a person like that. I hate to say that. Everybody deserves second chances and deserve a chance or whatever. But when it comes to stuff like that, I will be judging your moral character. Because why would you do that? Why would you do that? That was really, really crazy and messed up. But, I told y'all in a few videos, I've been talking about it for a minute, for the last couple of videos. I did have somebody that was stalking me. And the same way that they was doing it in the documentary, basically now they have their Google text and the text now numbers and all that stuff where you can generate these fake numbers or whatever, and somebody can text you from anywhere and you don't know where they from. Could be somebody right next door to you, but they'll have an area code that's in another state or another country. You know what I'm saying? And it's just really scary. It's really stressful. And, hey, y'all need to get y'all lives together. Kendra, you wrong for that, girl. But, yeah, I just really wanted to get on here and talk about that for a second. Y'all tell me how y'all felt about it if you watched it. If you haven't watched it, it's on Netflix, and it's called Unknown Number, the high school catfish. I said, bitch. But y'all enjoy y'all week, and I'll see y'all later. Peace.